Okay, dear students. So the first question that we had was uh, the sequence of energy change in photosynthesis is. So what is the sequence of energy change in photosynthesis? Is it light, electrical, chemical, or is it light and chemical, or is it light and electrical, or electrical and chemical? So what is the answer for this? Yes, it is B. It is light chemical. Okay, the answer is light chemical. So it is the solar energy which is converted into the food, that is sucrose. So sucrose is nothing but source of chemical energy. So the solar energy is converted into the chemical energy. So the sequence of energy change in photosynthesis is from light to chemical. Okay. So if photosynthesis proceeds for an hour in atmosphere with radioactive carbon dioxide, labeled carbon, so will be found mostly in. So where is this radioactive carbon dioxide going to be found? I think this is a easy answer. So you should remember what are all the reactions that are going to take place in photosynthesis. So photosynthesis has light reaction, which is of two types: cyclic photophosphorylation, non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and the dark reaction, which involves the Kelvin cycle, where there is going to be fixation of the carbon dioxide. So and that is going to lead the C3 cycle, what we also call it as. So you find the various products, isn't it? So the stable product is a three carbon compound, because of which we call it as C3 cycle. So during this process of Kelvin cycle, there is formation of sugar, starch. Then there is also the initial level itself, there is formation of phosphoglyceraldehyde. So the answer for this is all of the above is the correct answer. Okay. The third one, during photosynthesis, water gets reduced and carbon dioxide gets oxidized. So water gets reduced. Reduction reaction, if you're going to remember the definition of it, what is reduction? It can be addition of the hydrogen or removal of oxygen. We call it as reduction. I had also told you to remember RIG, rig. Reduction is gain of electrons. So these are the three definitions for reduction. What is oxidation? If you remember, oxidation is addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen, or it can be oil. Oxidation is loss of electrons. If any one of this definition is fulfilled, then we call it as oxidation reaction. So now water gets reduced and carbon dioxide gets oxidized. That is wrong. Carbon dioxide gets reduced. Okay, so they are there. It is going to form the three carbon atom, isn't it? So carbon dioxide gets reduced, and they are going to form the phosphoglyceraldehyde, which we had discussed earlier. And water gets oxidized. That is, water, it undergoes photolysis, isn't it? So B is the correct answer. So carbon dioxide is reduced during the Kelvin cycle, and uh, the water gets oxidized during the photolysis of water. So these are things that you have to remember about. Okay. So the next thing that you have to remember is, so the chlorophyll molecules are going to absorb light maximum in. So it is going to be the red and blue region. So the chlorophyll is going to absorb maximum light in red and blue region. Okay. So the red and blue region, there is going to be maximum absorption of chlorophyll molecules absorb light maximum in the red and blue.
Sir, you're on mute.
Have I been on mute for long period of time or now? From
After
which question you want?
after red and blue
Ah,
region, you were on mute, sir.
okay. Fifth one. Who observed for the first time that oxygen is released by plants? It is Priestley. Okay. So the answer is Priestley. So the sixth one, which I was discussing, is which of the following is wrongly matched? The answer is sorghum, Kranz anatomy, or is it pep carboxylase bundle sheet cells? See, sorghum is an example for C4 plants. C4 plants exhibit Kranz anatomy. So this option is right. Pep carboxylase. See, pep carboxylase is found in mesophyll cells and not bundle sheath cells. You find rubisco in bundle sheath cells. So in mesophyll cells, it is pep carboxylase. So this is the mismatch. B is the mismatch. It should be the mesophyll cells and not bundle sheath cells. Next one is seventh one. Sugarcane show high efficiency of carbon dioxide fixation because of what is it because of? Why do sugarcane? Sugarcane is also C4 plants. So you should remember the hatch and slack pathway. C4 plant pathway was for the first time studied by Hatch and Slack. So it is also called as Hatch and Slack pathway or Hatch and Slack cycle. So C4 cycle can also be called as Hatch and Slack cycle. So the right answer is Hatch and Slack cycle. So B is the answer. So if you had just analyzed the question paper, you find that majority of questions are from plant physiology, animal physiology. Then the questions would be from animal kingdom. So cell biology, cytology, and cell biology. So these are high priority chapters at which you have to get prepared for. Majority of the questions would be from plant physiology, animal physiology in the sense the digestive system, the respiratory system, excretory system, all those come under the animal physiology. Then animal kingdom, you have to remember cell biology and uh, cell cycle and cell division topics you have a lot of questions from. Okay, so the next one is find out the reason that creates an important difference between C3 and C4 plant. So what creates an important difference between C3 and C4 plants? The answer is photorespiration. Why is the answer photorespiration? Can anyone say that? Yes, most of you are correct. Photorespiration. The reason is in photorespiration, you notice that it is absent or very less in case of C4 plants, whereas photorespiration is noticed in C3 plants. Okay, photorespiration is going to harm the photosynthesis process, wherein there is utilization of ATP and there is no photosynthesis taking place. So photorespiration is absent in C4 plants, so they are photosynthetically efficient, whereas C4, C3 plants exhibit photorespiration and they are going to be less photosynthetically efficient than C4 plants. So that is the reason the answer is photorespiration. Ninth one, photorespiration is the light dependent reaction in which utilization of what is going to be utilized and what is going to be released. So that is the question. Okay. So anyone has answered for this? Yes. Chaya is right. It is oxygen is going to be utilized. So Rubisco is going to fix oxygen and there would be release of carbon dioxide is going to happen. So there is release of carbon dioxide and oxygen is being utilized and there is expenditure of ATP also during this photorespiration. If you just remember, it is going to produce the phosphoglycerate and phosphoglycolate. Okay, it can also be called as phosphoglycolate pathway or C2 pathway, photorespiration. So just recollect those points. So oxygen is being utilized and there is release of carbon dioxide taking place during photorespiration. When does photorespiration happens in plants? So whenever there is going to be more amount of oxygen in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide, they undergo photorespiration because Rubisco enzyme starts fixing the oxygen instead of carbon dioxide. That is the reason they undergo photorespiration. It is found in C3 plants and it is absent or less in case of C4 plants, the photorespiration. So just remember about that. 10th question is assertion and reason question. Electron flow is cyclic and results in the synthesis of ATP, but not NADPH in membranes of stroma lamellae. Reason, membrane of stroma lamellae or fret, you can also call it as, or you can also call it as stroma thylakoids. So they lack photosystem 2 and the enzyme NADP reductase. So the answer for this, as all of you have said it correctly, both assertion and reason are true, and reason is correct explanation of assertion. So we can expect this variety of question also. Okay, so this assertion and reason variety of questions, so you should be prepared for that. The first one is the right choice here. Both assertion and reason are correct statement, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Okay, so A is the answer. So A is the answer here. Next one, ferredoxin is a polynucleotide with the iron and sulfur. Okay, it's a chlorophyll without magnesium, a polypeptide with iron and sulfur, a copper containing protein. So ferredoxin is a polypeptide with iron and sulfur. So ferredoxin is a polypeptide with iron and sulfur. So 11th one, C is the correct answer. Okay. Proton gradient, that is difference in protons, is very important across the membrane because what is the correct reason you have to find out. Building up of proton gradient releases energy. Building up of proton gradient increase the pH towards lumen side of thylakoid membrane. Breakdown of proton gradient release carbon dioxide, and breakdown of proton gradient is going to release energy. See, the chemiosmotic hypothesis we have studied there. Whenever there is a breakdown of proton gradient, there is release of energy. So D is the correct answer for 12th one. D is the correct answer. Next one, 13th, chemiosmotic hypothesis of ATP synthesis in the chloroplast is based on the accumulation of potassium ions, proton gradient, accumulation of sodium ions, or is it membrane protein? So chemiosmotic, it is based on proton gradient. So chemiosmotic hypothesis of ATP synthesis in the chloroplast is based on the proton gradient. So 14th one, which factor is not limiting in normal condition for photosynthesis? See, light can be a limiting factor. Carbon dioxide can also be a limiting factor. Water can be a uh, limiting factor. But in normal condition for photosynthesis, chlorophyll is not going to be a limiting factor. So D is the answer here. So D is the answer. So chlorophyll is not the limiting factor. Okay. So Chaya seems to have done very well. Chaya, Chandrika, most of you are answering the answers correctly. Good. Okay. Next, 15th one. Water stress causes the stomata to dash, hence reducing the dash availability, B availability. So what is A and B referred to? So the choices are A is open, B is water. A is closed, B is water. Okay. C, A is closed, B is carbon dioxide. D, A is open, B is carbon dioxide. So the answer is A is closed, B is carbon dioxide. See, whenever the stomata is closed, the carbon dioxide availability is going to reduce because of the closure of stomata. So C is the right option. So C is the right option. A is closed. Okay. B is carbon dioxide. 16th one, if water becomes a limiting factor, it influences. So if water is going to become a limiting factor, it influences gaseous exchange, cellular expansion, metabolic activity of cells, enzymatic efficiency. So if water becomes a limiting factor, it influences. What are all the factors that it is going to influence? D is the answer. A, B, C, and D. So 16th one, D is the answer. Okay. Next one. Refrigerated fruits maintain their flavor and taste for longer period due to non-availability of oxygen, presence of excess of carbon dioxide, presence of excess humidity, slower rate of respiration. See, whenever we place fruits in the fridge or refrigerator, it maintains their flavor and taste for longer duration because of slower rate of respiration. It is because of slower rate of respiration. So D is the answer. So slower rate of respiration. Okay, D is the answer for that. 18th, how much energy is released by the aerobic oxidation? It is an aerobic cycle, 1 mole of glucose. So there is going to be 686 kilocalories of energy released by 1 mole of glucose. 686 kilocalories, if you can convert it into just calories, it would be 686,000. So B is the answer then, 686,000 calories. Okay. So it is nothing but 686 kilocalories, or you can also call it as 686,000 calories. So 1 mole of glucose, you are going to get so much of energy. With 38 ATP in calculation, they have given this. Okay. NADH of glycolysis reacts with an inorganic element during liberation of energy. So NADH, which is obtained during glycolysis, it reacts with an inorganic element during liberation of energy. The kind of respiration is, so what type of respiration it is going to be? So when it is going to release, it is going to react with an inorganic element during liberation of energy. So when is the liberation of energy going to take place? Any one of you dear students, when does the liberation of energy takes place during respiration from energy rich molecules? Anyone would like to answer? See, answer is aerobic respiration, but you should understand why it is the answer is aerobic respiration. Okay. See, the when is energy liberated from energy rich molecules? Adya, can you answer? Adya or Geetika? When is energy going to be released, energy rich molecules? See, it happens in the terminal oxidation, or we also call it as oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport chain. Okay, during that process, one NADPH2 molecule is broken down to release 3 ATP molecules, isn't it? So energy rich molecules are converted into ATPs. So that happens during the electron transport system. Now, why is it aerobic respiration? Why not anaerobic? Is only aerobic respiration undergoes this terminal oxidation or oxidative phosphorylation, or you can also call it as electron transport chain. It takes place only in aerobic respiration. This Krebs cycle and aerobic respiration, the electron transport chain, Krebs cycle and terminal oxidation or electron transport chain is absent in case of anaerobic respiration. So you should remember that. That is the reason the C is the answer. Okay. 20th, incomplete breakdown of sugar in anaerobic respiration results in the formation of, see, there is an incomplete breakdown of sugar during absence of oxygen. What does it lead to? It leads to the formation of alcohol and carbon dioxide. Okay. So during anaerobic respiration, it can lead to the formation of alcohol and carbon dioxide. So this is the answer, 20th. So it is in simple way they can say it as the products of alcoholic respiration are alcohol, ethyl alcohol, and carbon dioxide. See, removal of hydrogen and carbon dioxide from a substrate is called. See, there is removal of hydrogen and carbon dioxide. So removal of hydrogen is oxidation, and addition of carbon dioxide is so the removal of carbon dioxide is decarboxylation. So the answer is oxidative decarboxylation. So that you should remember. The answer is 21 is C, oxidative decarboxylation. The next one, 22nd, the fruit juice becomes bitter after keeping for some time. This is due to, why does the fruit juice become bitter after some time? So it is because of what? Fermentation by microorganisms. So it is because of fermentation by microorganism. So remember, A is the answer. It is because of fermentation by microorganisms. So 23rd, next question. The net gain of ATP from complete oxidation of one molecule of glucose in eukaryote is going to be so net gain of ATP, complete oxidation, that is aerobic respiration. So in eukaryote, it is going to be 36 ATP or 38 ATP. This is the right answer. 23rd is the right answer. What is the net ATP molecule gained when four molecules of glucose undergo anaerobic respiration in plants? See, one molecule of glucose, if it undergoes anaerobic respiration, they produce two ATPs. Okay, so aerobic respiration, it is 38 ATP or 36, but in anaerobic, it is going to be 2 ATPs. So if there is four molecules of glucose which are undergoing anaerobic respiration, it would be 4 into 2 ATP. The answer is 8 ATP. So the answer is going to be 8 ATP molecules. A is the answer for 24th one. Okay. In hydroponics, cost of infrastructure is, what is the right answer? In hydroponics, cost of infrastructure is low. Soil-borne pathogens are absent. So this is one thing that you can remember. B is the right answer. So soil-borne pathogens are absent in hydroponics. Okay. So which of the following statements are correct about mineral absorption in plants? So which of the following statements are correct about mineral absorption in plants? Okay, so they have given four options, A, B, C, and D. In the initial phase, ions are taken up into the outer space of cells. The apoplast, it is a passive process. So this is going to be a incorrect statement. See, three statements are incorrect. One statement is correct. Okay, so the absorption of mineral is by an active process, isn't it? So the in final phase, ions are taken up slowly into the inner space, the symplast of cells. So that is also wrong. C, passive movement of the ions into the apoplast pathway occurs through ion channels, transmembrane proteins, which act as selective pores. So passive movement of the ions into the apoplast occurs through ion channels, transmembrane proteins, which act as selective pores. So the C is the right answer here. Okay. If there is a passive movement of the ions, it is going to be through the apoplast pathway, which is going to occur through the ion channels. Okay. C is the right answer for 26th. 27, mycorrhizae are useful for the plants mainly due to, okay, is it because of fixing atmospheric nitrogen, or is it enhanced absorption of nutrients from soil? So it is because of enhanced absorption of nutrients from soil. I told you when we had discussed about mycorrhizae, they are going to be longer than the root hairs, and they help in absorption of nutrients and water from soil. So mycorrhizae are useful for the plants mainly due to the enhanced absorption of nutrients from soil. Okay, minerals are absorbed by plants from the soil by a process So how are they absorbed? Independent of water absorption, dependent on water absorption, dependent on strength of solutions, dependent on osmosis. So minerals are absorbed by a plant from the soil by a process of. So the 28th B is the answer, dependent on water absorptions. Okay, so it is dependent on water absorption, the mineral absorption also. Nitrogen is because they have to remain, the minerals are taken up as ions, so they have to be dissolved in water. That is the reason it is dependent on water absorption. Okay. Nitrogen is absorbed by the plants in the form of nitrate and ammonium ions. So both 1 and 2 is the right answer. So both 1 and 2 is the right answer. C is the right answer for 29th. So nitrogen is absorbed both as nitrate and ammonium ion. For the limited nitrogen that is present in the soil, microbes compete with animals, plants, both A and B. B is the answer. So the limited nitrogen that is present in the soil, microbes compete with plants. So 30th B is the answer. Select the correct match. Nitrosomonas nitrite to nitrate, thiobacillus denitrification, okay, nostoc free living nitrogen fixer, azotobacter anaerobic nitrogen fixer. So you have to select the correct match. So the 31st, the answer is B, thiobacillus is going to undergo denitrification. C, nostoc is a free living nitrogen fixer. So 31st, C is the answer. So B and C only is the answer. Okay, C is the answer for it. Dash conditions are created by leg hemoglobin in the root nodule of a legume. So you know that leg hemoglobin is an oxygen scavenger. So they are going to remove all the oxygen. So if oxygen is absent, it is going to be anaerobic. So B, anaerobic conditions are created by leg hemoglobin in the root nodule of a legume. So 32nd, anaerobic is the answer. See, enzyme required for nitrogen fixation. Which is the enzyme required for nitrogen fixation? Is it nitrogenase, nitroreductase, transaminase, transferase? It is going to be nitrogenase. 33rd, A is the answer, nitrogenase. The function of leg hemoglobin in the root nodules of legumes is oxygen removal. 34th, A is the answer. It is an oxygen scavenger, we also call it as. Okay, it removes oxygen and creates an anaerobic conditions in the root nodules. A permanent increase in size, volume, form, or weight of a plant is known as, this is the definition of growth. So 35th, A is the answer, growth. Choose the correct sequence of stages of growth curve for bacteria. Okay, it is going to be the lag phase, log phase, stationary phase, decline phase. Decline phase is at when they are aging up or during the death process, there would be a decline phase. Okay, 36th, A is the correct answer. Decline phase also you have to remember about. The following statements are given about the plant growth hormones. We have to find the correct combination. Kinetin is a degradative substance from DNA molecule. ABA is present in all the plants. Okay. Low ratio of cytokinins to auxins favor root formation only. ABA is synthesized catabolically through mevalonate pathway. So the answers are, so the 37th, the answer is C, 1 and 3. Kinetin is a degradative substance obtained from DNA molecule, and the third one is correct answer. First and third one are correct answer. So whenever the cytokinins are lesser than auxin, there is going to be formation of auxins are more and cytokinins are lesser, so root formation. If cytokinins are more and auxins are lesser, it leads to shoot formation. This concept we use it in tissue culture. So C is the right answer. That is, kinetin is a degradative substance from DNA molecule. And third statement, low ratio of cytokinins to oxygen favors rhizogenesis or root formation only. Which hormone is called the dormancy hormone? So is it IAA, indole acetic acid, naphthalene acetic acid, abscisic acid, or gibberellic acid? So 38, the answer is abscisic acid. C is the answer. The hormones which reduces transpiration rate by inducing stomatal closure is ABBA, that is abscisic acid. See, cytokinin helps in opening of stoma. Closure of stomata is brought about by abscisic acid. So 39th A is the answer, abscisic acid. So bud dormancy is induced by. So 40th again it is abscisic acid. Okay. 41st, which of the following is not correct for photoperiodism? Flowering response of plants to periods of day or night is termed as photoperiodism. Long day plants require the exposure to light for a period exceeding a well-defined critical duration uh, for flowering. So you should identify the incorrect statements here. Short day plants must be exposed to light for a period less than this critical duration before the flowering is initiated in them. The critical duration is same for different plants. This is going to be wrong. Fourth one is going to be wrong. Day neutral plants do not have any correlation between exposure to light duration and induction of flowering response. Duration of light period and duration of dark period is not equal importance for flowering. So this is the 41st option. The 41st option, you should remember fourth and sixth statement are incorrect. Remaining are all correct statements. Okay, fourth statement, the critical duration is same for different plants. It is going to be different for different plants, not same. So that is a wrong statement. Duration of light period and duration of dark period is of equal importance. But here they have given it as is not of equal importance for flowering. So fourth and sixth statements are wrong. So C is the answer. Phytochrome is present in the phytochromes are present in flowering plants. So 42nd is C. 43rd, which of the following is an incorrect statement? Long day plants flower if the night length is shorter than a critical period. Okay. Short day plants flower when night length exceeds a critical dark period. Day neutral plants are insensitive to day length. The process of flowering does not occur in day neutral plants. So D is the incorrect statement. 43rd, D is incorrect statement. So flowering does occur in day neutral plants also, but they are not dependent on light. So D is the incorrect statement. The main organelle involved in modification and routing of newly synthesized proteins to their destination is. So the main organelle involved in modification and routing of newly synthesized proteins to their destination is chloroplast, mitochondria, lysosome, endoplasmic reticulum. The answer is endoplasmic reticulum. So 44th, D is the answer. 45th, centriole. So the column 1 and column 2, you have to select the correct answer, match the following and collect the correct answer. So centrioles, so where they are found. So the next one, chlorophyll, thylakoids they have. Uh, okay. So the answer for 46th is A. Centriole is found in the basal body of cilia or flagella, centrioles. B. Chlorophyll, thylakoids, second one is right. Cristae, they are the infoldings in mitochondria. C is one. D. Ribozymes. So they are nucleic acids, so ribozymes. So they are all the correct answers. So A is the correct answer. A is 4. Centriole is basal body cilia or flagellum. They are found there. Chlorophyll, they have thylakoids. Cristae infoldings in mitochondria. Ribozymes are nucleic acid. All these correct options are found in A. A is the correct answer. Select one which is not true for ribosomes. So they are made up of two subunits. They form polysomes, may attach to mRNA. They have no role in protein synthesis is incorrect statement for ribosomes, not true or false statement for ribosomes. So 47, the answer is D. Okay. 48, which of the following features is common to prokaryotes and many eukaryotes? Okay. Is it chromatin material present, cell wall present, nuclear membrane present, membrane bound subcellular organelles are present? See, cell wall is present in majority of prokaryotes and many eukaryotes. So cell wall, see, except for animal kingdom, almost all of them have cell wall. If you take fungi, they have cell wall, but it is made up of chitin. In protista also, they have cell wall. In majority of organisms, they do have cell wall. And in case of the plant kingdom, they have cell wall. Okay, so the prokaryotes, bacteria, they also have cell wall. Okay, cell wall is a common feature when compared to the all the four statements. Cell wall is common to prokaryotes and many eukaryotes. Many eukaryotes implies there are exceptions. Those exceptions are animal kingdom. Okay, they don't have this cell wall. So what is a tonoplast? See, the outermost, it is the membrane boundary of the vacuole of plant cells. It is what we call it as tonoplast. The outermost covering of vacuole, we call it as tonoplast. Okay, 49th, tonoplast is a membrane boundary of the vacuole of plant cells. 50th, which of the following is not true for a eukaryotic cell? Cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans. It has ATS type of ribosome present in the cytoplasm. Mitochondria contain circular DNA. Membrane bound organelles are present. Okay. See, mitochondria contain circular DNA. Membrane bound organelles are present. ATS type of ribosome present in the cytoplasm is there. A is the incorrect, not true for eukaryotic cell. Okay, cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans is incorrect statement. bDNA, which is right-handed double helix, contains dash base pairs per turn of the helix, and each turn is dash long. bDNA, that is B oriented DNA, which is right-handed double helix, contains how many base pairs per turn? It is going to be 10 base pairs. And if it is going to be multiplied, but in our textbook it is given in nanometer. 1 nanometer equals 10 to the power of minus 9 meter. Angstrom, 10 to the power of minus 10 meter is 1 angstrom. So base space in case of distance, you have to multiply 10 into uh, so 0.34 nanometer, it is going to be 3.4 nanometer. But if you're going to write it in angstrom, it becomes 34 angstrom. Okay, so 34 angstrom, and for 10 base pairs per turn of the helix, and each turn is dash long. So it is 10 base pairs and 34 angstrom. So 10 base pairs, B is the answer, and 34 angstrom is the correct answer. So 51st is 10 base pairs and 34 angstrom. Which bonds are indicated by X and Y in the given diagram? See, the diagram is missing. Sorry for that. So it should have been like X. X, it would be having the bond between sugar and phosphate. It is phosphodiester bond, and the bond Y is a bond between nitrogen bases. That is going to be hydrogen bond. So unfortunately, the diagram is missing here. Okay, so sorry for that. So Bx is going to be the bond between sugar and nitrogenous base. Sorry, sugar and phosphate, which is going to be phosphodiester bond. In between nitrogenous bonds, nitrogenous uh, bond, the bonds are hydrogen bond. So the answer should have been B. Doesn't matter. Then which of the following is the correct match? 53rd. The correct match is See, acidic amino acid, glutamic acid, basic amino acid, lysine. Why do we call it as basic amino acid? Because they have two amino groups. Neutral amino acid, they have one amino group and one carboxylic group, whereas acidic amino acid has two carboxylic group. Okay, so this is the right answer. A is the right answer. Glutamic acid, lysine, and valine. So acidic amino acid is glutamic acid. Basic amino acid example is lysine. Neutral amino acid is valine. A is the correct answer. 54th, inhibition of succinate dehydrogenase by malonate is an example of. So the inhibition of succinate dehydrogenase in enzymes you come across this. So by malonate, it is going to be an example of competitive inhibition. Okay, 54th, B is the answer, competitive inhibition. Good, Chaya, Tejaswini, and Geetika. Good. Others also can participate by answering the questions. You can just type it. So the proteinaceous molecule that joins a non-protein prosthetic group to form a functional enzyme is called. See, the proteinaceous molecule which joins a non-protein prosthetic group to form a functional enzyme is called as apoenzyme. The answer is A, apoenzyme. Okay. Which of the following statement about enzymes are correct? You should identify the correct statement. So enzymes do not alter the overall change in free energy for a reaction. Enzymes are proteins whose three-dimensional shape is key to their functions. Enzyme speeds up reaction by lowering activation energy. Enzymes are highly specific for reactions. The energy input for needed to start a chemical reaction is called activation energy. So all the statements are correct about enzymes. None of them are incorrect. So D is the answer. Okay. Females have only left functional ovary in birds. They have this left functional ovary is found only in birds. Example is you can take up the example as pigeon. So for birds, pigeon is the example. Why are they not having right ovary is to reduce the body weight for volant mode of life. Volant means aerial mode of life. So their bones are hollow, pneumatic bones to reduce their body weight. Okay. And there is absence of one ovary to reduce their body weight. So these are all attributes for aerial mode of life. So this you find in case of birds. Pigeon is an example here, whereas the others are all either the mammals or amphibians. Okay. Four-chambered heart is characteristic of which poikilotherm? I like this question a lot because they have asked cold-blooded animal which has four-chambered heart, and that is found in this reptile, especially crocodile. Crocodile is the only reptile where you find this four-chambered heart, whereas remaining reptiles they have partially divided ventricles, three-chambered heart with partially divided ventricles. But in crocodile, they have four-chambered heart. In birds, the lungs are spongy, spongy and inelastic. Okay, so B is the right answer. So the in birds, the lungs are spongy and inelastic. Okay, 60th one. The characters like hard exoskeleton, cephalothorax, gills for respiration are present in which of the following? It is found in crustacea, prawns. They have an hard exoskeleton. Okay, cephalothorax, gills for respiration are present in which of the following? So crustacea, 60th, C is the answer. 61st, uh, which of the following statement is totally wrong about the occurrence of notochord while the other three are correct? It is present only in larval tail in Ascidian. It is replaced by a vertebral column in adult frog, as is noticed in case of the vertebrates or the okay. It is absent throughout life in humans from the very beginning. Uh, so this is wrong. Okay. C is wrong statement. for 61st. Why is it wrong statement? Because in embryo condition, we find this notochord. Okay, it is absent throughout life in humans from the very beginning. That is wrong about notochord. Okay, and later on in our later adult stage, we have this vertebral column, okay, which has replaced the notochord. Two chief features of mammals which distinguish them from other vertebrates are, so two chief features of mammals. See, there is mammalia, breastfeeding animals, which is a characteristic attribute. Okay, uh, and hair. Exoskeleton is modified as hair only in mammals. So this two, D is the answer. Mammary glands. So 1 minute, it should be viviparity and mammary glands giving birth to young one. So let me, the 60-second, the right answer is D, mammary glands and internal fertilization. See, they can give birth to an young one only if there is an internal fertilization. Giving birth to young one, we call it as viviparity. If they lay eggs, we call it as oviparity. Okay, viviparity is noticed there. So mammary glands is a characteristic feature of mammal. Internal fertilization takes place within the female genital tract. There is internal fertilization. One of the necessities for viviparity is internal fertilization. That is the reason priority is given for internal fertilization. D is the answer. Mammary glands and internal fertilization is more of a priority than hair and viviparity. Okay, so if you give priorities for the attributes which make them mammal, then it is mammary glands and internal fertilization. So that is the reason D is given as answer. Even though other options are correct, based on priority, D is the correct answer. Okay. 63rd, in a stingray, the stinger is a modified. Is it dorsal fin, ventral fin, anal fin, caudal fin? So 63rd, the answer is A. So dorsal fin is the right answer. Which one of the following belongs to Gymophiona? This is a question outside the syllabus. So you can expect nearly 8 to 10% of questions outside of NCRT book. Nearly 90% of questions are from NCRT book. So your focus, first preparation level focus is being thorough with each and every sentence of NCRT book. Okay. Then reading a little additional information. Okay, so what you can easily learn is through this 90% of questions from NCRT, and it is usually you cannot predict what type of questions might come outside of syllabus. Anyway, so solving various question papers will help you also there. So which one of the following belong to Gymophiona? It is group in case of order in case of amphibians. So the answer is Ichthyopsis. So Ichthyopsis is a limbless amphibian. So it is just like snake, it slides through, but it is a limbless amphibian. Ichthyopsis is a limbless amphibian. Only one order of amphibians have exoskeleton or dermal scales. So only one order of amphibians have exoskeleton, that is dermal scales, and that is Gymnophiona, which has the example as the Ichthyopsis. So two questions together I've given with that particular purpose. So Gymnophiona, so this is the answer. Okay, it has dermal scales. The example for Gymnophiona is Ichthyopsis. So remember that 64th B is the answer, 65th C is the answer. Cleavage in mammals is holoblastic, equal, holoblastic, unequal. So superficial, discoidal. See, in the XL fertilized egg, so since they do not have yolk, so it would be holoblastic, equal. 66th A is the answer. Holoblastic, equal. Carapace is present on the dorsal surface of tortoise. See, the outermost shell of tortoise is called as carapace. So 67th B, if you have drawn the diagram, you could remember the labeling carapace. Okay. So 68, which is not a true amphibian animal here. Tortoise is a reptile. It is not an amphibian. So salamander, toad, and frog are all amphibian. Salamander is a tailed amphibian. Ichthyopsis is a limbless amphibian. They don't have forelimbs and hind limbs. So remember those exceptions. Hairs occur in all mammals except those of which belongs to order Cetacea. So hair does not, the exoskeleton hair does not occur in Cetacea. Now we can also remember why hair is not given as an unique attribute of mammalia, because Cetacea does not have hair at all. There are exceptions, isn't it? So 69, the answer is C. In mammal, diaphragm makes a partition between the lungs and stomach, the stomach and heart, thoracic, abdominal cavity. So the thoracic and abdominal cavity is the right answer. So diaphragm makes a partition between the thoracic and abdominal cavity. The teeth of shark are modified placoid scales. Just remember, scales are modified as teeth and they are very sharp. Shark are carnivorous animal. Okay, the white shark and others you might have noticed they are very aggressive, and their teeth is made up of placoid scales. Okay, birds are able to regenerate their head. No, it is not possible. Tail also, it's not possible. They are able to regenerate their beak. In case of birds, the jaws are drawn into beak. Okay, they are able to regenerate their beak. 72nd C is the answer. 73rd, lizards deliberately break their tail to protect from predation. It is called as autotomy. A is the answer. That is in order to auto means self, rejection of part of them, autotomy. So 73rd, A is the answer. 74th, human beings are ovoviviparous, parthenogenetic, viviparous. We give birth to young ones, so we are viviparous. So human beings are viviparous. 74D, which is incorrect about non-chordates. Non-chordates or invertebrates. This is from phylum Porifera to phylum, still up to phylum the Hemichordata. Okay, so the gill slits are absent, post-anal tail is absent, heart is dorsal. See, the incorrect statement about invertebrates is central nervous system is ventral, hollow, and double. This is for chordates, this character, and it is not a character of uh, the invertebrate. So the central nervous system is ventral, hollow, and double is an incorrect statement about non-chordates. Fish that remain attached with the body of shark using its dorsal fin, which is modified sucker, is Echnis or sucker fish. So as the name itself indicates, it's easy to identify. 76th, A is the answer. 77, the respiratory center in the brain is stimulated by the carbon dioxide concentration in arterial blood. So that is going to stimulate the respiratory center in the brain. Okay, so it is stimulated by carbon dioxide concentration in arterial blood. Exchange of bicarbonates and chloride ions between RBC and plasma is called as chloride shift. So Hamburger's uh, effect or chloride shift, they call it as the exchange of bicarbonates and chloride ions between RBC and plasma is called chloride shift or Hamburger's effect. That is named after the scientist. Okay, 78th A is the answer. 79th, deficiency of oxygen affects most the brain. Okay, it leads to coma. So deficiency of oxygen affects most the organ which is affected the most is brain. So most of the COVID-19 patients at present, they are finding difficulty in breathing, isn't it? So the lack of oxygen itself leads to the death of brain cells. So the coma is nothing but death of brain cells, which is caused by lack of oxygen and nutrients. Okay. So which of the following changes occurs in diaphragm and intercostal muscles when expiration of air takes place? Okay. See here the answer is wrong. They have given in your answer key B, but the correct answer is, so the external and intercostal, the external intercostal muscles and diaphragms, they are going to contract. They are not going to relax. They are going to contract. Okay. So whenever there is, when expiration of air takes place, so expiration is exhalation of air takes place. So B, the 80th, the answer is B is correct. No, nothing is wrong here. I thought it was inspiration. Anyway, external, internal, intercostal muscles, both of them, they are going to relax. C is the answer here, but they have given it as B. That is wrong. External intercostal muscles and diaphragm relax. So C should be the answer, not B. Okay, answer key, it is wrong. So just make a note, it is typographical error. C is the answer. External intercostal muscles and diaphragm relax. 81st, which is the correct sequence of air passage in man? Okay. So the correct sequence is nasal cavity, pharynx, from pharynx to larynx, the voice box, okay, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. C is the correct answer. Okay, so the correct choice of sequence of air passage in man is C. Which of the following diseases are occupational respiratory disorders? Okay, so 82nd, the A is the correct one. Occupational disorders, respiratory disorders, silicosis, accumulation of silica, fibers, fibrosis, asbestos. So they're all the occupational disorders. Silicosis, fibrosis, and asbestosis are occupational respiratory disorders. So A is the answer. Tobacco smoke contains carbon monoxide, which reduces the oxygen carrying capacity, or what does it does? Okay, it reduces the oxygen carrying capacity, causes gastric ulcer, blood. A is the answer. Tobacco smoke contains carbon monoxide, which reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin. See, I don't know whether the Holocaust, you remember when Hitler persecuted a lot of Jews, what he did was he had devised these things you don't study in your history books, but if you visit the torture chambers of Hitler in Germany, you'll be knowing about it, the museum where they have this. So he had made a vehicle where the exhaust of the vehicle was let inside the van. So the Jews were forcefully filled in the van and they were locked up. The van, which had its exhaust fumes let inside, it was driven for 1 or 2 hours. After 2 hours, everyone would be found dead. And why that happened was the carbon monoxide and that was let out from the exhaust fumes. They reduced the oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin, and that killed the people. So these are some not what do you call it as barbaric activity of Hitler in his era. Anyway, I just thought that I'll give you one example of it. So carbon monoxide is dangerous. It reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin. So sometimes the centralized locking system in cars, there are many cases of people having got trapped inside and dying out of suffocation. That is because of lack of oxygen and carbon monoxide that accumulates. So it becomes what you call it as coffin for them. There are many such accidental victims who have died in cars with centralized locking system. So always be very careful about that. Okay. So which of the following glands grows to the maximum size at puberty and diminishes gradually? It's a very easy answer. Thymus is the answer. Okay, thymus grows to maximum size at puberty and then diminishes gradually. Relaxin is secreted by which endocrine gland? So it should be ovary, but they have given the answer as corpus luteum. 85th, the answer is D. Ovary should be the answer. Okay, A is not the answer. D, ovary is the answer. So make a correction of this answers. Placental hormone called chorionic gonadotropin (hCG), which stimulates secretion of progesterone by the ovary during pregnancy, is proteinaceous in nature, steroid in nature, biogenic amine, both 1 and 2. So the 86th, it is proteinaceous in nature. So most of the hormones are proteinaceous in nature, including hCG. So human chorionic gonadotropin. Find the odd one out with respect to gland and secretions. So glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, sex corticoids, norepinephrine, epinephrine or adrenaline, relaxin, estrogen, progesterone, insulin, glucagon, thymosin. Okay, find out the odd one out with respect to gland and secretions. So the answer is going to be D, because insulin and glucagon are secreted by the islets of Langerhans of pancreas. Thymosin is by thymus gland. So they are completely two different endocrine glands. So D is the odd one out with respect to gland and secretions. So 87th is the answer. D is the answer. Match the source gland with its respective hormone as well as the function. Okay, so A, they have given source gland thyroid hormone thyroxine. Function regulates blood calcium level. B, this is going to be wrong. Function. Okay, anterior pituitary oxytocin. Oxytocin is by posterior pituitary. That is, they are going to have this oxytocin. So this source gland is wrong in B. C, source gland is posterior pituitary, vasopressin, stimulates reabsorption. C is the correct answer. Okay, so 88th C is the correct answer. D, corpus luteum, estrogen supports pregnancy. These are wrong answers. 89th, insufficient quantities of antidiuretic ADH hormone or vasopressin in blood leads to diabetes insipidus. C is the answer here, diabetes insipidus. The blood calcium level is lowered by the deficiency of parathyroid. So the blood calcium level is lowered by the deficiency of the hormone parathyroid. So remember about this. 90th B is the answer. Okay. So that completes our discussion on the today's session of the biology NEET grant paper. Any doubts or clarifications, you can get it done now. Any doubts or clarification, dear students?